I hope all my fellow Americans survive Thanksgiving with the turkey leftovers, the awkward family conversations, and the chaotic Black Friday sales. WWE decided not to make the roster wrestle the day after Thanksgiving, so that this week's SmackDown is taped. And that gives the whole show a strange but fascinating vibe. And also spoilers ahead of time. With Survivor Series happening the next night, this was WWE's last chance to convince you to watch Survivor Series. And what we got was a mix of mild moments, some sloppy ones, and a final cliffhanger that shook the entire arena. Let's get to this week's SmackDown. We open with a recap of last week's chaos between the women's War Games tension, their miscommunication, and allies turning into enemies, and vice versa. A reminder that women's division right now is basically a pot ready to boil over. Backstage, we got shots of Solo Sikoa army of goons roaming the hall like a militia that thought their shirts in bulk, that bought their shirts in bulk. The shots widen and eventually you do see LA Knight somewhere in the frame. We find Kathy Kelly looking already annoyed. Kathy meets up with the second week in a row with LA Knight. Knight is stuck fighting a mystery opponent once again for 2 weeks in a row with no bye and no favors. Knight cuts one of the best annoyed promos in a while. Every time I start to get a little something going, somebody wants to try and cut my legs out. Somebody wants to stack the deck against me. Somebody basically wants to make sure that I can't make the rise I'm destined to make. Yeah, or whatever he will say after. He's slapping them back to factory settings. Perfect LA Knight energy to start the night. So after so many segments, we finally get to a match for SmackDown. And it's the Jey Uso versus Rusev, the last time is now tournament. With the obvious win before this show goes on the air, because they already spoiled it last week. Because they pre-recorded it after last week's SmackDown. They did this show recording. So the crowd may have been tired because of that. So if you saw the crowd during this week's show, very tired, not excited, or whatever, it's because they lost energy, because they, after last week's SmackDown, they really taped the next episode right after, so people probably were already tired. It was probably late, because this show is taped live, so they were already there past some people's bedtime, probably. He comes through the audience, hyped, dancing, yelling, raising hands, and even gets them to replay his theme music for an encore, so we roll it back. You could feel him forcing energy into the arena. Then Rusev music hits, and a heavier, more dangerous energy walks into the ring. So, the match breaks down as follows. Early on, Rusev dominates the match. He muscles Jey into the corner with raw strength, tossing him in around with a suplex and cracking him with the signature front kick that sounds like a tree snapping. Jey tries to fire up, hitting punches and attempting a Samoan drop by Rusev, blocks it, and spins him out with a powerful slam that shakes the ring. On the floor, Jey plays a hit and run, low bridging Rusev to send him tumbling, then blasting him with a suicide dive. Back inside, Jey finally lands the Samoan drop. Crowd wakes up, but Rusev kicks out at a 1. A 1. Then the turning point happens when Jey leaps from the top, the rope, and gets decapitated midair by the Machka kick that lands with a sniper precision. Rusev tries to finish with the accolade. He arches the back, cranks the neck, but Jey claws to the ropes at the last possible second. In the final sequence of events, Rusev tries an attitude adjustment. Jey slips out. Spear, Uso splash, and Jey wins. The match never truly kicked because the crowd was basically dead. But the final sequence looks solid, and Jey continues building his momentum to the last and throughout the last time is now tournament. Let's move on to the next segment. Backstage, Miz storms into Nick Aldis' office insisting he should replace Sheamus in the tournament. So if you don't know, Sheamus got injured. He was the person that's supposed to be the opponent that night against LA Knight, but he got a shoulder injury, and he was announced last week that he will be out of the match, and that opponent will be found for next week's SmackDown. Aldis tries to keep it fair with a random draw, but just as he's about to pull a name, R-Truth wanders in, talking nonsense as R-Truth will usually do, distracting him just long enough, as you can see, for Miz to swap the cards. When Aldis reads the replacement, Miz smirks and walks off before Aldis catches on. As always, a classy Miz moment, and he gets to be in the next match. Meanwhile, and somewhere else in the arena, Damian Priest is talking to Kathy, and they have an interview. Eye healed, his attitude is sharp, and Priest makes it clear that Aleister Black hasn't changed him. Zelina Vega enters with equal levels of sarcasm and warning. She tells Priest that Black hasn't finished him just yet. Then she walks away. Then Rhea Ripley approaches Priest afterwards, not with anger, but with an idea. They hug as old friends of the Twin Towers, whatever they call themselves, always do, and they rekindle their friendship. But she has an idea. Something is brewing with them, but what? We probably will find out in this coming week, now that her time with the War Games storyline is over, and probably she is shifting her focus with helping out Damian Priest and this little feud that he has with Aleister Black. And there you go. There she is. Happy to look at them. Happy to see each other. Next up, Chelsea Green. Celebration gets ruined on SmackDown. Chelsea Green comes out looking like she won the Super Bowl, dragging poor Alba Fyre with her. She brags, she celebrates, she tries to cue pyro in her name. Again, still trying to get that pyro. But instead walks out Jade Cargill, our current women's champion. Arms crossed, looking like she's about to repossess someone's car. A single pump kick folds Alba Fyre in half, and then Chelsea tries to crawl away, but here comes Jay, snatching her by her hair, drags her back, and plants her head with a jaded. The irony is the pyro does go off, but for Jade, not Chelsea. It's hilarious, but at the same time, does Jade really deserve this? Like, Jade deserves actually a real feud at this point and not doing squash segments. So if she's going to be a champ, she needs to start having real championship runs, real feuds, real things. Otherwise, this is going to get old real quick. It's going to end real quick for her. Anyway, backstage once again, War Games, backstage tension in the back. Alexa Bliss is hyping Charlotte Flair for her upcoming match against Asuka. Rhea and Io walk up with their own advice. AJ Lee eventually approaches, calm but intense. She says one thing: no matter what happens tonight, I'm making sure we win tomorrow. Delivered quietly, but with a hint of danger. Next up, we have LA Knight versus The Miz. I was going to say yeah, but nah, I'm not into this. But from the bell, LA Knight charges Miz with like a man who hasn't eaten since Thanksgiving dinner. Hard punches, corn stomps, running knee, and a drop kick that sends Miz outside. But Miz, being Miz, uses ring awareness to take control, slamming Knight into the barricade and grinding him down with chin locks and cheap shots. Knight fights back with his clotheslines, a Russian leg sweep, a crisp neck breaker, and a superplex that shakes the ring. Miz tries to steal it with the skull-crushing finale. Knight kicks out. Miz tries cheating with his feet on the ropes. Ref catches him. After all that, a final scramble. Knight counters the finale into a blunt force trauma, and LA Knight wins. So it's going to be LA Knight against Jey Uso for a spot in the finale against Gunther, because we know Gunther's not going to lose against Solo. So and if I swear, if we have a Gunther versus Jey Uso finale, I am going to scream. But we can save that for next week when I actually do scream, because that's probably what's going to happen. So we get to the next thing. Second to last match, I believe. For the advantage match, we have Charlotte Flair versus Asuka to find out the advantage for War Games the next night. This match started slow, but built into something strong. Early chain wrestling shows both women thinking 2 steps ahead. We have Charlotte hitting a fly crossbody with a beautiful hang time. Asuka answers with flurry of stiff kicks. Charlotte nails her moonsault. Picture perfect for a near fall. Asuka locks in the triangle, choked so deep Charlotte's face turns red. Charlotte powers out with raw strength. Asuka missed the camera operator by accident during the ringside fight. But back in the ring, Charlotte counters into natural selection. Charlotte wins clean. Surprisingly, the babyface team now has War Games advantage. A rare booking choice. But it was a decent match. You can't expect anything wrong when you have Asuka around sometimes. So now we get to the main event. Here we go. The match that should have been on the Saturday card, but it isn't. The one that actually has the title of that PLE, but it didn't happen. We have the 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match between Team Sammy and Team MFT. A Team MFT, which looks more like a team that should be in a War Games match, but because they're not over enough, they are not. But here we go. Let's go through this match and hopefully end this SmackDown review. So we have the team of Sami Zayn, which consists of Sami Zayn, Rey Fenix, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the Machine Guns, versus the Team MFT, which includes Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and JC Mateo, the heel team. So another babyface versus heel team. JC Mateo impresses early in this match with moonsaults and smooth athleticism. Nakamura eliminates JC Mateo first. Tama Tonga eliminates Nakamura after. Phoenix eliminates Loa with a crafty roll-up. Phoenix puts on a show. Hand sprinting elbow, rope running kicks. Insane agility. Oh my god, I lost my place. Yep. Insane agility. Talatonga looks powerful but slow. Crowd barely reacts to this. Machine Guns get eliminated back to back by Tala. Phoenix gets caught and gets eliminated by Tama. Sammy starts his heroic comeback that you always see when it comes to a Sami Zayn match. Sammy eliminates Tama with a perfect haluva kick. Tala misses a giant boot and gets counted out. In the final showdown, we have Sammy versus Solo. The closing stretch was insane for this, and it was intense. And at this point, I'm only gonna assume it's like 1:00 at night when they were recording this live. Solo hits multiple spinning solos, a huge splash from the top. Sammy somehow survives. Sammy counters avalanche offense into a sunset powerbomb. Crowd wakes up. Finally, Sammy goes for a haluva kick, and Solo dodges the Samoan spike for the pin. Solo Sikoa survives for his team, becoming the sole survivor. Hard fought, but too long, and the crowd clearly struggled throughout this match because it was already too late. Lesson learned, don't do this pre-recorded like that. But before the show closed, we see the final segment that ended SmackDown with questions of what the hell does this mean kind of situation. As Solo celebrates, the lights go out, the arena drops into black, static floods the screen, the sound design gets eerie, the Wyatt Sick6 appear. silhouettes surrounding the ring, and then we see him, Uncle Howdy. He materializes behind Solo and drops him with a violent Sister Abigail. No lights, no commentary, just darkness. And that's what's SmackDown. The calm before Survivor Series with a monstrous cliffhanger. It was an okay... No, not really. It was not an okay SmackDown because it's pre-recorded. What do you expect? The crowd was tired because they tried to do double recording when in reality maybe you should do it a different date. What's all together? Maybe do it on a Thursday, then do it on a Friday. Or maybe do it the following week before Raw. Maybe people show up before Raw. Or you do it on a Tuesday while people are doing NXT. I don't care, but you shouldn't be holding people there for 6 hours. That's crazy. That's why you didn't have no energy near this whole show, because the crowd was so tired. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Is the Wyatt Sick6 the right direction for SmackDown? Hit the like, subscribe, and check back on us for the next SmackDown review at the T-Drop. Thanks.